In just 2 years, ChatGPT has become the 4th most visited website in the world. But that's not even the interesting part. What matters is people are no longer searching for options. They're searching for answers. And that shift is about to break the internet as we know it. Take me for example. The other day I was looking for AI tools for a certain project that we are running. And without even thinking, I didn't go to Google for that. I went to ChatGPT and I asked it to summarize the best tools based on recent trends. And in that moment, I realized something. I'm no longer looking for options. I'm looking for answers and I want them quick. For years, search engines were designed to basically give you the options of what exists out there. With LLMs, this narrative is changing and LLMs just give you the answers they think are more suitable for your needs. But the truth is, search behavior was already changing long before ChatGPT was introduced. This creates a huge problem most businesses haven't realized yet. Search didn't just move from Google to AI, it fragmented to different platforms, and understanding this shift can really help us predict the future. Today, some discovery searches start on TikTok, on Instagram. Around 50% of e-commerce searches start on Amazon. When people want social proof or learn what other people are saying about a certain topic, they go to Reddit. The main point is people go to the places where they believe the best answer is located. But more importantly, it's where they trust the answer to be the most accurate. And this piece of information really matters for marketers and entrepreneurs or any business owner, because if search no longer lives just in one place on Google, then it lives in many other places. So optimizing for a single platform is probably not a good strategy. The next piece of information might be very surprising for millennials, but did you know that only 9% of any sort of online activity actually happens on the open web? The open web is any sort of area in the internet that is publicly available. Things like private websites, blogs, and online resources. Now, the majority of screen time today actually happens in closed ecosystems. That is 80-something% of all online activity doesn't happen in the open web. Platforms where you have to log in, where all the data and analytics lives inside those platforms. And most importantly, search happens internally. Think where actually people are spending most of the time now. Probably Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, Amazon. Each of these platforms has quietly become its own search engine. Think about it. Maybe there was a time that you used to search products on Google. Now you just prefer to go to Facebook Marketplace. Even Google is already trying to differentiate itself because it knows it's losing the battle. As you might have seen, Google search doesn't just give you options anymore. Google's AI overview now compresses a bunch of different sources into a single answer. It doesn't just give you the answer directly, it also gives you the links to the options within that answer. This is the same as chat-based tools like ChatGPT and Gemini. This changes what visibility looks like. What this means for brands is simple but painful. Not only you have to rank in SERPs now, but you have to start ranking everywhere. LinkedIn, YouTube, Reddit, you even now have to consider how you show up in LLMs. Are we getting cited for certain questions? Are we getting recommended by those LLMs? There's all sorts of things now that we can do to get more visibility out of that fragmented environment. So if visibility now depends on being part of the answer, we need to really understand how people are asking for answers. And that is where I noticed something really interesting in my own search behavior. Something I noticed is that I don't type keywords into Google anymore. Things like email marketing tools or AI tools. I catch myself typing full questions that are very descriptive into Google because I know it can answer it. Things like, what is the best email tool if we're a medium-sized marketing team? Or I'm using MailChimp at the moment, I'm looking to switch to HubSpot. Would it be a good option if I was a 10-person business? Or I'm using MailChimp, should I switch over to HubSpot if my team is growing, and which tool would be better for this situation? Once I noticed this, I couldn't ignore it. That small change that is happening to me is happening to everyone because we want answers quick and we want the answers to fit our needs. If you like this video so far, make sure you give it a like. It really helps with the algorithm. Now back to it. Search is becoming more natural. People no longer think in keywords, they ask full questions. People tell you exactly what they want, what they prefer, and what worries them. But how do I make sure my business gets recommended by these AI tools? How do I make sure that it continues to show up in as many places as possible? Let's go straight to the point. If search is becoming more contextual, then that means that your content needs to be contextual too. And this is a very important point. When context increases, people niche down, which means your content strategy should do the same. Imagine you're a mortgage broker. For years, you might have optimized your website for the keyword mortgage broker Sydney or Sydney mortgage brokers. But that's not how people search anymore. Forget about those keywords. For example, if someone ChatGPT's a prompt like, "Hi ChatGPT, I am a first home buyer in Sydney with a small deposit. Which mortgage broker would you recommend?" If your website, on the other hand, says, "We specialize in loans for first home buyers," then all of a sudden your business looks like a more appropriate option to recommend to this person. You get the drift? You were not recommended to this person because of a keyword. You were recommended to him because your website contextually looked like a good option. You can actually reinforce your niche by creating more content that is narrowed down or is focused at which audience you are targeting. You can do that by including a few more FAQ sections in your pages. In the previous example, you might have FAQ sections that cover what are the grants available for first home buyers, what's the mortgage home loan process looks like, what are the incentives for first home buyers to buy a new home. The more clearly you articulate who you are serving and what are your services and what niche you specialize in, the more likely that AI will recommend you for what you're trying to achieve. Another super duper powerful signal that you can apply to improve that is being mentioned in other places on the internet. Getting listed on reputable websites, directories, view platforms helps build that credibility of your business. Language model come across this content, it gives you more credibility and a higher chance to be recommended. Because as you might have guessed, AIs don't just look at your website, they look at the whole internet. Or at least they scan all the data that is available in order to give you the best choice. The more data, the better the accuracy of that choice. So the takeaway is clear. Your content can't just target keywords anymore. It needs to be contextual about what you offer and who is it for. Also, the more you are mentioned online contextually in other places, the better your case would be to be recommended. At this point, you might ask, okay, I get it. I need to rewrite my website and I need to try to do a little bit of site SEO in order to get mentioned in other places. Is there anything else? Well, there's a simple answer to that. Just ask the AI. I'm serious. Here's an example I want you to